I am Todd Forrest, Arthur Ross Vice President for Horticulture and Living Collections at the New York Botanical Garden. The first warm, sunny days of spring bring an explosion of life across the New York Botanical Garden. As the buds swell on the trees in the Thane family forest, our earliest magnolias, daffodils, and flowering cherries begin to open. The perennial garden is a symphony of color, form, and texture. The rock garden, a treasure trove of botanical wonders. The seasonal walk, a field of flowers. As April progresses, more and more of the garden comes into bloom, and it becomes difficult to decide where to linger. Magnolias beckon, cherries cajole, daffodils wave coquettishly in the breeze. Although each year is different, mid-April tends to be the height of the first wave of spring flowers. The Rock Garden is NYBG's most layered and historic display garden. Created by legendary horticulturist T.H. Everett in 1932, it is a sophisticated blend of montane bulbs, alpine rarities, woodland perennials, and flowering trees, all planted amidst artfully placed rocks that evoke the mountain landscapes of Europe and North America. Handmade troughs at the entrance feature diminutive treasures too fragile to mingle with more robust plants in the ground. Raked gravel paths encourage visitors to explore and discover the many horticultural details that make the rock garden a highlight of spring at NYBG. A remarkable diversity of plants grow in the nooks and crannies that abound across the rock garden's 2.5 acres. Subtle differences between soil moisture and sunlight create conditions suited for everything from early flowering euphorbias to spiny cacti to species tulips. The garden's intricacies invite and reward close inspection. For many, magnolias mark the start of the spring season. NYBG's Magnolia collection features some of the garden's most charismatic and beloved spring flowering trees. Visitors are drawn most of all to the star and saucer magnolias. Botanists call these magnolias precocious because they flower before their leaves emerge. Gardeners think of them as heavenly. The star magnolias have white flowers, perhaps tinged with a little pink. The saucer magnolias are absolutely covered with huge, fragrant flowers that range from pure white to dark purple. The oldest magnolias in the collection were planted in the early 1900s. After more than a century of growth, these magnolias have become venerable specimens. When they are in bloom, they become outdoor rooms with vaulted ceilings of huge purplish pink and white flowers. Visitors love to linger beneath these grand old trees and breathe in the fragrance of the blooms. Japanese flowering cherries, known as sakura in Japan, are celebrated for their intense but fleeting display of pink or white flowers in early spring. If the weather is warm or windy, an individual cherry may only flower for a few days before its petals drift to the ground. To extend the bloom season, we have planted nearly 50 different varieties of Japanese flowering cherries and closely related Japanese flowering apricots across the garden. The greatest concentration of flowering cherries can be found in Cherry Valley, which features 30 different varieties. Cherry Valley has many specimens of Yoshino cherry, which is the most abundant variety planted in the tidal basin in Washington, D.C. The cultivar Akibono, which is known as the daybreak flowering cherry, has delicate flowers with the faintest blush of pale pink. Yoshino cherries bloom at the end of the first phase of the flowering cherry season, usually towards the middle of April. While the Judy and Michael Steinhardt maple collection includes a mix of maples large and small, the Japanese maples steal the show. Best known for their autumn foliage, Japanese maples may be at their loveliest in spring as their delicate leaves unfold in colors ranging from eye-popping chartreuse to amber to shrimp pink to deepest burgundy. This subtle but intense display is usually overlooked by garden visitors searching for more spectacular spring fare. As the winter buds open and the deeply pleated leaves emerge, you can start to see the telltale pointed lobes that characterize Japanese maple leaves. On a sunny day with some wind, each emerging leaf becomes a living pane of stained glass that dances in the breeze. The show lasts for only a few weeks. By mid-May, the leaves are usually fully formed and much less translucent. In April, daffodils are everywhere at NYBG. The perennial garden, the rock garden, Daily Daffodil Walk, Daffodil Valley, and of course, Daffodil Hill, which seemingly overnight transforms from fallow field into an undulating sea of flowers. Planting of daffodils began on Daffodil Hill in the 1920s. The descendants of these original bulbs still flower every April. Since 2015, we have planted nearly 400,000 new bulbs on Daffodil Hill. At peak bloom, daffodils stretch in all directions as far as the eye can see. It has been a remarkable spring so far at the garden. The warm winter got things started early, but the cool, overcast weather in April prolonged the show. May promises to be memorable. The lilacs, tree peonies, and azalea garden are already in flower and ready to burst. I look forward to sharing those amazing collections with you soon. Thank you for taking the time to enjoy this virtual spring at NYBG. Everyone at the garden is grateful for your interest and support of our work caring for this magical place.